The Frog Alphabet Book by Jerry Pallotta, illustrated by Ralph Maiello. Frogs. So many frogs. Whoa! That's a big frog. A is for Amazon horned frog. This frog looks like it has sharp horns above its eyes, but the points are fake stems that help make the frog look like a leaf on the ground. B. B is for blue-legged strawberry frog. This little frog may look cute, but it's very poisonous. It looks like it's wearing blue gloves and blue stockings. Be on the lookout for more poisonous frogs in the book. C is for crested newt. All newts are salamanders, but not all salamanders are newts. The crested newt has a wavy crest along its back that makes it look different from other newts. Let's find another creature that begins with the letter C. C is for caecilian. Not many people know about caecilians. They are amphibians that have no arms and no legs. They look like snakes or worms. D. D is for dumpy green tree frog. Some frogs live in water. Tree frogs climb and live in trees. If the dumpy green tree frog had friends, what do you think they would call him? Hey, Dumpy! This frog is from Australia. E. E is for eft. In the olden days, newts were called efts. Some newts are still called efts when they leave the water to go live on land for a few years. The one on the page is a red eft. Grandma learned something new. Didn't know that word. F is for fire-bellied toad. When the toad wants to scare off another animal, it leans its head back and shows its bright red belly. It may look like it has red nail polish on, but frogs do not have fingernails. G. G is for Goliath frog. This is the biggest frog in the world, and it can jump farther than any other frog. It comes from Cameroon, Africa. The smallest frog in the world is the size of your baby fingernail. H. H is for hellbender. Hellbenders are giant salamanders that stay in the water. When fishermen accidentally catch hellbenders, they sometimes cut their hooks and lines rather than touch them. Hellbenders are from the United States, and they are also called devil dogs. I. I is for Ichthyostega. Millions of years ago, the Ichthyostega was the first creature to leave the water. It was the first amphibian, but now it is extinct. So all we have is a fossil imprint of it. J is for a Japanese giant salamander. It is the largest amphibian on Earth. It is found at high altitudes in cold, shallow, swift-moving streams. The Japanese giant salamander is similar to the hellbender, but even bigger. K. K is the first letter of knocking sand frog. The sand frogs of South Africa grow to be about an inch long. The knocking sand frog makes a sound similar to someone knocking on the front door. Knock, knock. Who's there? L. L is for leopard frog. The leopard frog has spots. It's got its name from the spotted leopard. There are other North American frogs with mammal names. The sheep frog, the squirrel tree frog, bullfrog, mink frog, and believe it or not, the pig frog. M is for midwife toad. When the mother midwife toad lays a string of eggs, the father midwife toad wraps the eggs around his hind legs and carries them on his back. This is an unusual way for a toad to protect its egg. The midwife toad is from Europe. N. N is for the narrow-mouthed frog. This frog does not hop or jump. It waddles. The little mouth is perfect for eating ants and other small insects. The narrow-mouthed frog on this page can dig a hole with its back legs and bury itself. Oh. O is for olm. The olm has teeny-weeny legs, its eyes are covered with skin, and it can barely see. Olms live in caves where there's hardly any light. P. P is for poison arrow frog. Yikes! Poison arrow frogs! They are the most colorful of all amphibians. The bright colors are a warning for other animals to stay away. Hurry up! Turn the page. Q. Q is for quinto tree frog. This quinto tree frog is green and therefore can hide from its enemies by blending in with green leaves. This frog is from Ecuador. That's South America, Central America. R. R is the red-eyed tree frog. This frog might be the most awesome of all the Central and South American rainforest frogs. If people keep cutting down the rainforest, these beautiful frogs will have no place to live. S. S is for spring peeper. This is the noisiest frog. Peep, peep. When lots of them are peeping nearby, peep, peep is hard to go to sleep. Peep. This is one of the most common frogs in the United States. Peep, peep. Grandpa calls them peepers. Let's read about other amphibians again with the letter S. Peep, peep, croak, peep, ribbit, peep, peep. S is for Suriname toad. This amphibian is really different. Maybe it should be called the pancake toad. It looks as though a truck ran over it and flattened it. Oh, more S's. You did say there were going to be more. S is for slimy salamander. This salamander has no lungs. It breathes through its thin skin. When you pick it up, it leaves a sticky, slimy goo on your hand, and it's really hard to wash off. Slimy salamander is a real name. T. T is for tadpole. Frogs lead a double life. When they hatch from their eggs, they become tadpoles. Tadpoles swim and breathe through their gills, much like fish. Tadpoles finally grow legs, lose their tails, and become frogs, and they breathe air through their lungs, just like you do. U. U is for undercover frog. It is also for the unnamed frog. All over the world, there are dozens of frogs that have not yet been discovered. Maybe someday someone will find a new frog and call it the unbelievable frog. B. B is for the Valley Ridge salamander. The salamander has a long tail and a long name. It sounds as though people could not decide whether to call it a valley salamander or a ridge salamander. W. W is for water dog. Water dogs and mud puppies are big salamanders. Their gills are on the outside of their bodies. Water dogs do not bark, and mud puppies seldom leave the mud, so it's hard to figure out how they got their names. X. X is for Xenopus laevius. Xenopus laevius is the scientific name for the clawed frog. Clawed frogs are excellent swimmers. They have tiny claws on the end of their fingers that help them dig in the mud for food. Y. Y is for Yosemite toad. There's a national park called Yosemite, and there's a toad called the Yosemite toad. This toad can be found in the park. Toads are frogs that have adapted to living on land. Z. Z is for zigzag salamander. We looked in a zillion places for a frog, toad, salamander, and newt that began with the letter Z. The zigzag salamander has a zigzag design on its back. Now that we have finished the alphabet, maybe you would like to know that there are 3 living orders of amphibians. Anura, those without tails, frogs and toads. Cayudata, those with tails, salamanders and newts. And Opada, those without feet, caecilians. There are no ocean amphibians. The end. The Frog Alphabet Book. Probably should have called it the amphibian alphabet, but that's okay.